On the morning of October 6, 1959, Eleanor Hayes, known to everyone as Ellie, balanced a stack of freshly printed Los Angeles Times newspapers on her bicycle basket and pedaled through the wrought iron gate at 1427 San Vicente Boulevard in Brentwood, Los Angeles. The autumn air carried the scent of eucalyptus and distant ocean salt, and the mid-century modern house before her stood silent except for the soft rustle of palm fronds in the morning breeze. Ellie had delivered newspapers to this upscale neighborhood for 9 years, navigating the winding streets lined with celebrity homes and studio executive residences with the unconscious precision of a woman who knew every pothole and curb. She believed this Wednesday would unfold exactly like the hundreds of Wednesdays before it. She was about to be proven catastrophically wrong. Before diving into this story, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the most gripping Cold War and espionage tales every day. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It really helps support us. Eleanor Hayes was 41 years old that October morning, a sturdy woman with strong legs from pedaling miles each day and a practical bob haircut that framed her sun-weathered face. She had spent her adult life distributing news through the neighborhoods of Los Angeles. She lived with her 2 children, a 10-year-old daughter named Susan and a 7-year-old son named Tommy, in a modest bungalow on Venice Boulevard, where the walls vibrated with the hum of passing streetcars and the plumbing clanked like loose change in a pocket whenever the faucet ran. Her father had been a newsboy during the Great Depression, hawking papers on street corners, and her grandfather before him had delivered broadsheets in the old country before immigrating from Ireland. Ellie inherited more than the delivery route. She inherited a belief that reliable service was the foundation of trust in America, treating every subscriber the same, whether they resided in a sprawling estate or a cramped apartment. The Brentwood neighborhood where Ellie worked that morning embodied the glamour and promise her family had sought across the ocean. The area had boomed after World War II, with Hollywood elites and aerospace engineers building sleek homes on the rolling hills above the city, seeking ocean views and escape from the downtown smog. By the late 1950s, the neighborhood housed screenwriters, producers, high-ranking military consultants, and civil servants involved in defense projects, their homes featuring clean lines, large picture windows, and manicured lawns that spoke of prosperity. Ellie knew 52 families on her route by name, recalled their vacation schedules, and could anticipate their preferences for how the paper was folded or placed. She took pride in this knowledge, though her sister sometimes joked that Ellie paid more attention to her subscribers' habits than to her own children's schoolwork. The house at 1427 San Vicente Boulevard had been added to her route 4 months earlier when the previous tenants, a retired film producer and his wife, relocated to Palm Springs. The new occupants introduced themselves briefly as Victor and Nadia Petrova. They claimed to be recent arrivals from New York City, where Victor worked as a screenwriter specializing in anti-communist dramas for Hollywood studios. They were reserved people, courteous but aloof, who avoided extended interactions beyond basic acknowledgments. Victor was a slender man in his mid-50s, with receding silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses that accentuated his sharp features. Nadia was younger, around 38, with auburn hair tied in a tight chignon and a graceful bearing that hinted at formal training in dance or etiquette. The Petrovas subscribed to one daily copy of the Los Angeles Times, delivered every morning except Sunday, when they opted out. They paid their bill promptly by check in the mail, never answered the door during deliveries, and left their payment envelope in the brass newspaper box beside the front steps with consistent punctuality. Ellie appreciated subscribers who simplified her job, but something about the Petrovas lingered in her mind like an unresolved chord. Their house never carried the aroma of breakfast cooking. Their large windows remained shrouded by heavy drapes despite the stunning Pacific views. Their car, a dark gray Ford sedan, stayed impeccably clean amid the dusty Santa Ana winds that coated other vehicles. These were minor observations, hardly noteworthy, except that Ellie Hayes had built her career on noticing the small details that ensured flawless service. On this particular Wednesday morning, Ellie approached the 7 concrete steps to the Petrova front door and slipped the newspaper into its usual spot in the brass box. She was turning to leave when her shoe snagged on something metallic hidden beneath the doormat. She steadied herself on the railing, glancing down with the annoyance of a woman whose ankles ached from years of early rises and heavy loads. What she saw defied explanation. A small metal pressure plate, about the size of a silver dollar, was set flush into the porch floor beneath the mat. It shone as if recently polished or installed. Ellie knelt, her knees protesting the motion, and lifted the mat completely. The plate connected to a slender wire that vanished into a fine seam in the doorframe. She pressed it lightly, feeling it depress under her finger, but no doorbell rang from within the house. Her bicycle creaked softly in the breeze behind her. A mockingbird trilled from a nearby jacaranda tree. Everything seemed routine except for this plate that appeared to serve no function. Ellie Hayes was not prone to fanciful thoughts. She did not indulge in spy thrillers or track global affairs beyond the headlines she glimpsed while bundling papers. But she lived in Los Angeles during the peak of the Cold War, where every resident harbored a subtle awareness that intrigue extended beyond silver screens and dime novels. The prior year, a Soviet spy ring had been exposed in New York. Months earlier, reports detailed bugs found in the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. The globe had split into opposing blocks, with Los Angeles, home to defense industries like Douglas Aircraft and Rand Corporation, positioned near the front lines of the ideological battle. Still, Ellie convinced herself she was overreacting as she repositioned the mat and descended the steps. Homeowners installed odd mechanisms for various reasons. Perhaps the Petrovas had acute sensitivities. Perhaps they valued privacy. Perhaps she should concentrate on her deliveries rather than fabricating mysteries. She collected the next house's payment envelope and proceeded with her route, completing 15 more drops before pausing for her customary mid-morning coffee at Rose's Diner on Wilshire Boulevard. Rose's Diner was a compact spot with a chrome counter, 6 booths, and coffee that tasted as if it had been percolating since the Truman era. Ellie had stopped there every Wednesday and Friday for 5 years, long enough that Rose, a no-nonsense Greek immigrant with a sharp eye for regulars, had her mug filled before Ellie reached her stool. Other patrons included mail carriers, truck drivers, taxi operators, and occasional off-duty police who favored Rose's hearty plates over precinct fare. That morning, Detective Frank Morales sat in the rear booth, tackling a plate of eggs while reviewing a folder he shut abruptly as Ellie neared with her coffee. Morales was 49, a 25-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, with a face weathered like aged saddle leather from years under the California sun. He and Ellie had developed a casual acquaintance through repeated encounters, the sort where recognition led to nods without deep friendship. Ellie settled into the booth opposite him without invitation, their established pattern. They shared a brief silence before Ellie surprised herself by mentioning an odd discovery. Morales regarded her with the look of a man accustomed to peculiar reports, most proving mundane. He encouraged her to elaborate. Ellie described the hidden pressure plate under the Petrova doormat, the wire slipping into the frame, the lack of any audible response. As she spoke, she felt increasingly silly, like reporting shadows as intruders. Morales's face remained neutral. He finished his bite, sipped his coffee, and requested the address repetition. 1427, San Vicente Boulevard, Ellie confirmed. Victor and Nadia Petrova. They arrived in June. Morales set his fork down deliberately. He inquired what else she knew about them. Little, Ellie admitted. They kept irregular hours. Their home appeared unoccupied yet clearly inhabited. As she continued, she realized her observations had piled up unnoticed. The Petrovas never set out garbage, but their cans vanished and returned empty. Their lawn stayed impeccably trimmed without visible landscapers. Mail arrived, but the box flag never rose, implying retrieval at odd times. None of these were alarming alone, but together they painted residents who skirted typical suburban existence. Morales retrieved a notebook from his coat and noted details. He asked about visitors. Twice, Ellie recalled. A month ago, a man in a tailored suit arrived in a Cadillac at dawn and departed shortly after. 2 weeks prior, a woman with a silk headscarf visited briefly. Ellie had spotted them while delivering on nearby streets, the activity standing out against the Petrovas' usual stillness. Morales kept writing. He wondered if she could identify them again. Possibly the woman, Ellie said, due to her pronounced limp on the right side. Morales pocketed his notebook and leaned back, scrutinizing Ellie in a way that unsettled her. He suggested she disregard the plate and maintain her routine. He added casually that she might note further peculiarities at the address and share them informally. Not in an official capacity, he clarified, just as acquaintances over coffee. Ellie left the diner feeling a vague disquiet she couldn't pinpoint. She finished her route mechanically, misplacing 2 papers and forgetting a collection from Mr. Goldstein on Vicente, who flagged her down with a wave. She apologized, citing the fog, and pondered if she was imagining threats. That night, Ellie lay awake next to her sleeping children in their shared room, listening to Susan's gentle snores and Tommy's occasional murmurs. She thought of her late husband, killed in Korea, who had delivered papers before enlisting, never questioning subscribers' identities. The world seemed simpler then, dangers more overt. Now adversaries blended in, residing in elegant homes, paying subscriptions promptly. Now newspapers might sustain a facade of normality for those with ulterior motives. Ellie urged herself to sleep. Deliveries awaited. Life persisted regardless of enigmatic plates. Friday brought fog, the thick coastal kind that muffled sounds and turned sidewalks slick. Ellie navigated her route in a wool coat, her bicycle tires whispering on damp pavement, papers thumping softly into boxes like muffled heartbeats. She arrived at 1427 San Vicente Boulevard at 7:40, slightly delayed by the haze. The drapes stayed closed, the house silent, the brass box empty, prior paper retrieved. Ellie inserted the newspaper, then hesitated. She scanned the foggy street, empty of early risers. She lifted the doormat again. The pressure plate glistened with moisture. She pressed it, sensing the yield, hearing nothing. Tracing the wire, she spotted what she missed before. It ran through a meticulously grooved channel in the woodwork, painted to blend seamlessly. This was expert craftsmanship, planned and precise, designed for concealment. Ellie's heart quickened, unrelated to the uphill pedaling. She replaced the mat and returned to her bicycle, feigning adjustments to her stack while examining the Petrova house anew. Every window featured identical velvet drapes without crease or opening. The front door gleamed in fresh navy paint, flawless. The hardware polished despite the mist. The compact yard boasted hedges clipped to exact angles, path-free of debris. The home suggested habitation but revealed no inhabitants. It was a carefully staged scene, Ellie realized, mimicking suburban life while masking whatever transpired behind those drapes. Ellie completed her Friday deliveries in a fog of distraction, twice folding papers incorrectly and overlooking a tip from Mrs. Larkin on Charnock Road. She blamed the weather inwardly, questioning her sanity, but Saturday found her at Rose's Diner by 6:45, earlier than usual, sipping bitter coffee while awaiting Morales. He arrived at 7:20, brushing fog from his hat, surprised to see Ellie in the booth. He ordered his regular and fixed her with an intense gaze that seemed to probe for truths. Ellie recounted the channeled wire in the doorframe. Morales listened impassively, his face growing stern. When she concluded, he asked if she had shared this with others. Only him, Ellie said, and her sister, framed as a quirky anecdote. Her sister suggested the Petrovas were quirky film folk wiring for eccentric pursuits. She advised Ellie to stick to deliveries. Morales stirred cream into his coffee slowly, as if buying time for thought. He indicated her curiosity was justified, but further pursuit unwise. Some matters suited trained authorities. He mentioned inquiring about the Petrovas, finding nothing, which was notable, as Brentwood newcomers typically generated records. Ellie pressed for meaning. Morales explained he couldn't officially probe based on odd installations. However, if a trustworthy citizen noted more irregularities and mentioned them casually, he could channel that to capable parties. Ellie grasped the implication without explicit statement. Morales sought her continued vigilance, but couldn't formally enlist a civilian. He operated in procedural gray areas, using Ellie as an unwitting informant since evidence for official action lacked. Ellie should have declined. She should have drained her coffee, mounted her bicycle, and resumed unremarkable deliveries for 9 years. Instead, she inquired what to watch for. Patterns, Morales replied. Visitors at odd times, unfamiliar cars, lights in sequences, unretrieved mail. Anything implying non-residential use. He stressed maintaining routine, avoiding risks, merely observing and reporting. He suggested varying arrival by 10 to 15 minutes to check if occupancy shifted with her presence. Over the next 2 weeks, Ellie Hayes transformed into something unforeseen, an inadvertent observer collecting data on suspected operatives. She altered her path to approach 1427 San Vicente from varying directions. She noted drapes perpetually shut, irrespective of time. The car parked at precise 45 degrees, moved rarely or reset meticulously. The brass box always empty on arrival, retrieval unseen. On October 21st, Ellie delivered at 7:15, spotting drapes parted 6 inches, exposing interior sliver. She slowed her ascent, angling for better view. Inside, furniture aligned rigidly, desk with stacked documents, and a radio device with elaborate antenna. Ellie knew little of electronics, but recognized it as sophisticated, unlike home radios playing Sinatra. The drapes closed abruptly, a hand flashing pale against darkness. Ellie placed the paper with shaky hands, descended, and pedaled straight to Rose's, hours early, consuming coffee until jittery. Morales absent. She waited until his arrival, finding her with anxious eyes. Ellie detailed the radio. Closing drapes, sense of reversed observation. Morales noted intensely, seeking clarifications on size and features. Upon finishing, he identified it likely as a shortwave transmitter for encrypted long-distance messages, possibly transatlantic. He revealed passing prior info to an FBI contact who showed keen interest in the Petrova home. Ellie asked implications. Morales said she might have uncovered something major. He warned caution, as observed parties were probably trained agents noticing erratic behavior. Ellie's stomach nodded. She hadn't considered reciprocal surveillance. Her worry seemed insufficient. Morales noted her fear, softening. He assured no wrongdoing. She had delivered papers and noted necessities. If she chose to stop, no judgment. But continuing briefly could safeguard the nation from harm. Ellie pondered a newspaper deliverer's impact against Soviet machinery, yet she agreed to persist, stay vigilant. Morales expressed gratitude solemnly, covered her meal despite protests. The ensuing week blurred in heightened alertness. Ellie eyed every route house suspiciously, wondering concealed activities. She grew irritable with her sister over supper when questioned on distraction. Nights brought sleeplessness, ordinary sounds, creaking floors, wind, now potential codes. October 28th brought chill, frosting lawns, breath visible. Ellie delivered cautiously, tires crunching frost. She reached 1427 at 7:55, delayed by iced roads. As she ascended with paper, the door opened. Ellie halted mid-step, newspaper in hand. Victor Petrova stood in threshold in tweed sweater and loafers, glasses reflecting light. They locked eyes momentarily. Petrova smiled thinly, without warmth, and noted her lateness in accented English. Ellie's blood chilled. She never provided her name. Subscriptions listed addresses only. No reason for knowledge unless investigated. Fog, Ellie croaked. Petrova concurred. Roads hazardous. Caution against slipping. Words laden with ambiguity. Ellie placed the paper, wished good day stiffly. Petrova affirmed mutual good days, closed door softly, like a latch engaging. Ellie returned to bicycle on numb legs. She sat gripping handlebars, dissecting exchange for threat. Acknowledgement reasonable, but name use implied watchfulness. Slip comment concern or caution. She pedaled to police station on Olympic Boulevard instead of diner. Requested Morales, learned in meeting. Waited 2 hours on bench, observing officers, until Morales appeared, surprised. They conferred in his cubicle, smelling of stale smoke, glass partitions offering visual but not auditory privacy. Ellie kept voice low, recounting morning. Morales listened stoically, noting. Upon end, he affirmed right action, then revealed change. FBI surveilled Petrova house 10 days, her notes sparking probe. Petrova's identified as probable KGB officers under screenwriter cover. Radio for Moscow transmissions via Mexico relays. Pressure plate alert sensor for securing materials. House and espionage hub. Morales said Ellie stopped deliveries immediately. FBI needed unalerted subjects. Behavior change would signal compromise. Ellie claimed illness week-long. Substitute take route. Stay home. Resume normality as experts handled. Ellie felt relief mixed disappointment. She yearned anonymity return, mere deliverer. Yet possessive of initiated case, desiring conclusion. Morales sensed, praised contribution, civilian alertness, key defense, pride in service. Words practiced yet genuine. Ellie phoned depot from booth, cited flu. Supervisor Ramirez, 20-year manager, doubted, noting no absences in years, timing near holidays. Ellie insisted genuine. Ramirez relented, warned no habit. Sister surprised Ellie home midday. Ellie claimed unwell, stomach churn true from nerves. Sister checked forehead, no fever, suggested rest. After departure, Ellie sat in living room, house silence once comforting, now eerie, as if harboring unidentified perils. Afternoon paper arrived. Ellie read thoroughly first-time years, absorbing international news beyond comics. Headlines: Berlin tensions, Geneva arms talks, Union infiltration hearings. Reported world contrasted her roots, where concerns were bundle counts, avoiding strays. Worlds collided, shattering ignorance. 7 days dragged. Ellie homebound, feigned recovery, restless. Assisted sister chores ignored before. Attended Tommy's school pageant on Pioneers. Repaired squeaky porch step pending year. Avoided drive-by 1427. On 8th November 4th, Morales at door 8:00. Sister answered, alarmed by police, called Ellie panicked. Ellie approached, heart pounding, fearing calamity. Morales grave but calm. Requested private talk. They sat in Ellie's bicycle wagon at curb, staring bungalows down Venice. Morales said FBI raided Petrova home dawn. Victor and Nadia arrested peacefully, in custody for espionage charges. Recovered codes, films, radio, contacts, defense photos. Hub for network spanning states. 7 operatives arrested concurrently. Morales emphasized none without Ellie's plate note. Unraveling whole. FBI grateful privately. Anonymity essential for safety, future ops. Morales unofficial messenger. Ellie speechless. No victory thrill, only unease from proximity to unseen danger. Asked risk now. Morales denied. Petrova's unaware her role, attributed routine or betrayal. Name absent reports. Ellie could resume work. Best, Morales said, normalcy restoration. Added world-filled such, vigilant citizens noticing overlooked more vital than investigators. Words awkward yet sincere, Ellie took as high praise. Ellie resumed Monday. Ramirez eyed suspiciously, quipped recoveries, assigned route. She loaded bicycle pre-dawn, inhaled ink, exhaust scents, pedaled empty streets. Seemed unchanged. Homes, streets, rhythm, 9 years. But Ellie knew facades hid depths. Ordinary masked extraordinary. World complex, perilous beyond bicycle seat. At 1427, house vacant, for rent sign. Drapes gone, box removed, mat absent, plate concealed. Ellie paused steps, papers forgotten, gazing empty set once housing underminers of adopted nation. Delivered not that day or after. House rented young couple from Texas, studio assistants, subscribing daily, reading content. Ellie withheld prior occupancy. Maintained route reliably, knowing preferences, equal courtesy. But change in Ellie Hayes those weeks. She attended now unnoticed before. Noted repeating cars, misplaced streets. Observed sequenced lights. Watched watchers. Became informal network part. Mundane notes intersecting era's conflicts. 3 months post-arrests. Ellie at Rose's Wednesday. Coffee. Paper. Page 8 article. Soviet officers. Viktor and Nadia Petrova convicted espionage. 25 years. Led dismantling 4-year network. Defense intel to Moscow. No discovery mention, no deliverer, no plate, no observations revealing truths. Morales joined booth wordlessly. Glanced paper, Ellie. Ellie folded aside. Morales ordered eggs. Ellie more coffee. Silent companionship, shared unspoken secret. Eventually Morales mentioned house on Barrington Avenue, mailbox overflowing unretrieved. Strange. Ellie agreed. Morales noted midnight visitors, brief stays. Ellie concurred unusual. Morales glad agreement, suggested casual eyes during deliveries. Ellie considered refusal, return ordinary deliverer noticing bundles only. No blame choosing ignorance. But thought children and world enemies undermine generations build. Thought pressure plate, wire, easy overlook, delivering spies years unaware. Thought satisfaction, larger contribution, unacknowledged. Agreed, keep eyes open, casually, deliveries part. Morales nodded expected. Said good, very good. Country needed such, unnamed. Finished meal silence. Morales paid, protests ignored, parted curb separate routines, less separate appeared. Ellie mounted bicycle, pedaled first drop, apartments near Westwood, clerks, staff modest lives, window gardens. Streets empty, city asleep. Ellie felt awake isolation amid dreams. But purpose new, undiscovered 9 years deliveries. No longer mere deliverer. Witness hidden conflict architecture beneath ordinary. Guardian peaceful world. Petrova sought destroy. Ellie Hayes delivered newspapers. Los Angeles another 18 years, retiring 1977. Knee pain unbearable. Those years, past Morales' 7 suspicious houses info, 5 legitimate probes, never knew full exposed networks, arrested names, disrupted ops, remained officially newspaper woman noticing small. But certain mornings, ascending steps anonymous lives, remembered pressure plate doormat, wire frame, remembered vigilance not paranoia, attention service, security danger difference. One right place time, looking carefully overlooked. World progressed around Ellie. Cold War peaked, eased. Presidents changed. Walls built, fell. Fundamental unchanged. Nations conflicts via blended people. Disguises maintained. Counting expected sight over actual. Against stood Ellie like Ordinary jobs close observe anomalies, hidden danger. Years later, retirement, Morales' funeral back-speaking none, Cold War end, Soviet collapse, Petrova's exchanged returned Moscow heroes. Ellie porch evenings watched grandchildren yard. Sister brought tea, asked thoughts, said nothing. Old deliveries, customers, streets memory only. But thought morning lifted mat found plate, shouldn't. Thought choice attention over away. Thought accident involvement, snag step observations dismantled network, small actions cascade unpredictable consequences. Never told grandchildren stories. Dismissed embellished mundane career exciting. Only sister knew, kept secrets faithfully. Understanding unacknowledged service effective. World no place public heroes heroism, noticing missed. But needed nonetheless. Needed generations, neighborhoods, ordinary work close danger signals. End. Ellie legacy not exposed network. Example citizenship beyond votes taxes. Demonstrated defense no uniform rank. Vigilance, not professionals exclusive. Attention service form. Life argued ordinary work, first important defense exploit, ordinary cover malice. And that concludes our story. If you made it this far, please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories and check out the video on screen. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. See you next time.